What an intense 45 minutes, but there's more to come. And this time around, we're moving straight into, the women's space, women in tech. And joining us on this particular segment is Oreoluwa Lesi. She's the Executive Director, Women's Technology Empowerment Center, WTech. Good morning, and thank you so much for joining us on the program.
Thank you so much.
Okay, so let's talk about what seems to be the obvious gap and the emergence of many more women to support the younger girls in tech. Talk to us about your exploits in that space and what are your findings as well?
All right, so I can talk about what I do. So my name is Oreoluwa Lesi, and I'm the founder and executive director of the Women's Technology Empowerment Center. So we're an organization based here in Lagos, but working across Nigeria and indeed Africa. And we're helping to raise more girls and young women. We want them to be technology creators. We want them to be leaders and entrepreneurs in the STEM space.
And there's a very, vast space of opportunity as far as tech is concerned.
Yes.
But there's so many, places, where young girls don't even have that awareness, even in Lagos and particularly in the north. But the effort, is very few and far between of, contributions of women like you to try to raise more young girls to be participants in tech. How can, we create entrepreneurs for more girls to be empowered in tech, not just, in the center of excellence and in the commercial capital, but in those communities?
All right, so we have definitely come a long way. When WTech started, we started in 2008, so we've been doing this work for 17 years. When we started, there was very little awareness about the gender gap in technology. Thankfully, there is a lot more awareness now that there's a gap, that women are underrepresented in this space, and that we need to get more women, and why it's important, that it's not just a nice to have, but it's actually it's good for the bottom line. Having more girls and women in technology and in STEM across, helps to bring diversity of thoughts and perspectives. So WTech is not alone. There are more organizations. So in the time that we've been working, there are more organizations, that are working in this space. And we all work, in different parts of the country. WTech is based in Lagos, but then we work across the country. I think one of our interesting projects, has been the Makerspace projects, and that's primarily been in northern Nigeria. So we worked in Abuja, in Bauchi, Nasarawa states, and also other states, Ondo State, Kwara State as well. I think that one thing that is important to do is that knowing that as an organization, our end goal is not just to go in and train girls, but we are training girls who become leaders in themselves, and they start to train other girls in their communities. And so that's one thing that is coming out of our programs. We're having our beneficiaries who are in different parts of the country, and they are now setting up their own projects and initiatives, and they're also training other girls in their community. And then we work in partnerships with other organizations. So we recently had a program in collaboration with IHS, Nigeria, and we had a one-day program to celebrate the International Day of Women and Girls in Science in Lagos, in Enugu State, and also in Kano. So we partner with other organizations, and so we're able to work with different pockets and groups of girls, and they are raising other girls and women who are now becoming ambassadors and leaders in science and technology.
And clearly this is not a sprint, it's more like a marathon.
Yes,
and you've been in this for, since 2008.
Yes.
That's almost 20 years now, and I think that's really brilliant. And as you were talking, I was just imagining a world where there's, more girls in tech. I think that's the world you envision as well. So we're on the same trajectory here. But speak to us about the opportunities in the tech space for girls, for women, or generally, right? Because clearly there's a dearth, and people want to be pointed in the right direction. I see a lot of people queuing behind, okay, let's all learn coding. Okay, no, let's learn data. They even learn things and realize, oh, it's not even tech related, and they have to start again. So what are the opportunities, and what should be the process for girls and
All
women?
right. So I think it's important to realize that everything that we do intersects with technology. Whether you are a fashion designer, you are a lawyer, you are an entrepreneur, and of course you have the core technical roles. You know, you could be an engineer, a computer scientist, a programmer, software developer, engineer. So you do have those roles, but then you have other roles that may not be tech. May not be a technical role, core tech, exactly, but then they're still needed in the technology space. And so, like I said, whatever you're doing, nowadays we're all using technology anyway. When we started, we wanted to raise girls who would work in core tech. But of course, along the way, we realized that, you know, that may not be everybody's interest. But no matter what you do, you need to be able to navigate in this world. And this world is now an increasingly technology-focused world. So what we do is that we go to schools, and we also run programs outside of schools, exposing girls to the different aspects of technology. And we bring in mentors as well. So we bring in men and women, primarily women, who are working in technology, but also working in other spaces as well, who are using technology significantly in their work to speak about what they do, so that the girls can start to think and they can start to make connections between, oh, this amazing woman I see before me and myself. And then they start to make connections between their own strengths and their interests. Oh, I'm good in maths, I'm good in English, you know, where could there be a space for me? So we also share, you know, different career opportunities and also the subjects in schools that, you know, you need to study, you know, if you are going to, you want to study that, you know, in university. So we're making those connections, and then we're also making opportunities for internships as well, so that even in secondary school, you know, the girls have the opportunity to do job shadowing.
Lovely.
Exactly.
I'm also very interested in the cost aspect, because you know how much data costs these days. You know how much a computer is.
Yes.
Well, a fairly good computer, you know how much it is. So if you put that together and then you go back to the minimum wage of the parents, for example, you realize that they'll have to work for a certain number of years to be able to afford that in addition to the daily needs. So what is the thinking to ensure that we're not left behind in spite of the fact that, yes, these things are expensive because we, again, don't produce these things, right? So what is the thinking? How do you creatively maneuver that cost aspect?
All right, so when the girls come for our trainings, obviously we have, you know, we have our training facility, and so we have computers, we have the internet. But one thing we found out when we would follow up with the girls after the program was that some of them were continuing on with their, you know, learning, whether it was programming, web design they learned in the camp, but then some others, because like you said, they didn't have access to a computer at home or in school, they were not able to follow through with their learning. So we set up an after-school club. So we work in selected schools in Lagos State, Kwara State, Ondo State, schools that have computers, schools that have internet. And so the girls are able to delve into a one-year curriculum. So for a period of 1 year, every week we're there in their schools and we are working with them. Another project that we had was one where we partnered with public libraries across the country, because a lot of public libraries were equipped with computers and the internet, but a lot of people didn't know this. So there are public libraries there, over 72 public libraries across Nigeria. So chances are if you find one near you, you can have access to a computer and you can have access to the internet. And we encourage the girls to be creative as well. You know, find that auntie or uncle, you know, who has, you know, a system that you can use, or whether it's in school and helping out, you know, with the ICT teachers. So we have some of our beneficiaries who are now like the assistant ICT teacher in their school, because based on what they've learned, they're able to go back to the school and really encourage the other girls, you know, to also take an interest in technology.
Brilliant.
And you know what they say about when women take up a task, you know, they bring their hearts to it. So beyond empowering young girls in tech, let's look at what impact their roles will be, you know, in providing solutions to some of the common problems that we have in our national life, say in about 10 years from now, when some of the seeds, you know, that you have sown in encouraging women in tech will become fruits and trees.
Well, if we look at a lot of the technology that we're using right now, a lot of them were developed by, well, I shouldn't say a lot of them, but some of the major ones were developed by women. The first program in the world was written by a woman, Ada Lovelace.
GPS?
Yes, GPS, Wi-Fi, you know, one of the earliest programming languages, COBOL, was developed by a woman. So we're all beneficiaries of products and innovations that women have made. And so we're seeing that, you know, in our girls as well. They're coming up with creative apps, you know, to solve problems, you know, that they and maybe their friends or, you know, people in their neighborhood or community have. So we're already seeing that. That's really amazing. And we're already seeing, so we've worked with over 52,000 girls, women, boys and teachers as well, you know, since we have been working. And close to 70% of our beneficiaries, you know, stated that the program encouraged them to want to study a science, technology, engineering course. And we actually have about 36% who are actually studying a STEM course already. So we're already following them, we're following their trajectory. And many of them are coming back to the organization to give or going to different parts of the world. And we can see the amazing things that they're doing. They're setting up their own organizations, they're training others, they're going on to do PhDs.
And there's more to come in that space.
The future
more
is women.
Solutions from
Women.
The future is female.
Yeah, that's
all right.
Thank you.
We must anchor at this point, and we're so proud of what you're doing, empowering young girls in tech across the country. Oluwa Leshi has been our guest. She's the Executive Director, Women's Technology Empowerment Center, WTech. Thank you so much for your time on the program.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
And from politics to, you know, innovating women, we're going now to food security. There's so much more to come on your Perfect Morning Starter. Stay with us. We'll be right back.